What's up guys, welcome back to my channel, GGFOREX here, and on today's video I'm going to be giving you an update of my Ftmo challenge so far. For those who already know, for those who are already in the GGFOREX group, you know I'm in the £70,000 Ftmo challenge. So what I'm going to do is going to walk you through my progress so far, where I've gone wrong, what I've learnt, and as you know from the previous challenge that I did and I failed, I never really had, well, I didn't realise I needed, but I never had a plan on how to trade the Ftmo challenge and go by their rules whilst at work. Because remember, when you're at work, everything changes. For me personally, for you guys, you might have different rules, you might have different jobs, so you might have different access to the internet than I do. Some of you may have worse, some of you may have better. Between 12:30 and 1:15, New York session starts at 1 o'clock. So really most of my opportunities come between 1 o'clock and 4:30 in the afternoon. So again, I can't really capture that much. A lot of my trades that I'm winning on so far are pendants I've set on during my lunch break and they've worked out really well. But yeah, I've had to adapt how I trade because of my 9 to 5 with the Ftmo rules. So that is something you need to consider. Since I've done that, I've proved the plan on my last Ftmo challenge. Obviously, I do not recommend figuring this out whilst you're in a challenge because it's a bad idea. Learn from me, figure it out beforehand, test it, see if it works, then take your challenge, and it's not like a normal challenge, you're just trading how you would normally trade. That's the best way to do it, okay? So anyway, I'm gonna go into my Ftmo client area at the moment and let you guys know what the hell's going on. Right guys, I hope you can see me. In the corner. So this is my Ftmo challenge so far. As you can see, I've had a little bit of a rocky start, figuring stuff out, trying things. Probably shouldn't have tried those things. But yeah, I just want to see how it was. I think where is it? It's down here somewhere. Yeah, GU has been my most successful trades. As you saw from my last video, I was still in those trades. And as I say every time, mindset is key. I know it's annoying to say, but if you didn't have the right mindset, you wouldn't have been in those trades for as long as I was. I mean, I didn't have a strong enough mindset because if you guys are in a GGFOREX group, which link is down below by the way, I showed you my markup on GU. And this is how I learned on NU, sorry. I showed you my markup on NU, and this is how I learned the mindset for my trade on GU, right? I was in NU, I had it marked up, and it played out beautifully. I moved my stop loss to break even because it moved far enough away, and really I shouldn't have touched it. I should have just trusted my analysis like I tell you guys to do, and I should have just let it play out. Now when that trade triggered, it was like 3 days in. What happened, I'll go over the trade again just to give you guys a recap, because I think I just showed the GGFOREX group on that. I showed you where I entered, it pushed up, it came down, came close to entry, then pushed up again, then came back down, hit my stop loss at break even, and then played around for a bit and then shot up, okay, on like the 4th or 5th day, right? So I learned from that. I missed out on a 1 to 5, a beautiful 1 to 5, my analysis was perfect, everything happened that I expected to happen did, but my mindset let me down. So when I did that on GU, when it happened, I never touched my stop loss. I just left everything how it was, and because of that, I got a beautiful 1 to 5. Not once, but I got it twice. And that was on these two trades here. I got 2 trades in on GU and 1 trade in on USD CHF last. So as you can see, my reward to risk isn't great. Well, no, it is okay actually. My win rate isn't great. What I'm saying is I've only got 35% win rate, which again, I do not need a massive win rate to be successful in this. Sorry, come back at me. Yeah, so my average RR is 3, not great because obviously I got some losers here. I took these 2 trades down here, NU and NU, the previous NU, not the one I was just on about. I took partials on that at the same place just because it was a logical area for me to get out the trade. Again, that would have been a 1 to 5 at 0.5% risk. I'm only risking 0.5 and I'll go over why. You should stick to 1 risk factor when you do these challenges because if you say, oh, I'm going to start off at 1% risk, and then you start off doing that, and then you're down 5%, you go, oh, right, I'm only going to risk 0.5% now, just so you can stay in the challenge. But now, it's going to take you twice as many trades to get back to where you were. Where if you just stuck to it and understood where you are with the Ftmo challenge, you know, if you're on a private account, you can do 1% risk, 2% risks on each trade and be okay, because you're not going to break any rules because it's a private account. But when you've got an Ftmo account, you have to stick to their rules, 5% daily, 10% overall of drawdown. And again, that is floating drawdown. So if you're profiting on one trade and you've got another 2 trades open, remember, you've only got 1 to 100 leverage. So there's only a certain amount of leverage you can get. And also, you cannot have both those trades in over 5% drawdown for that day, otherwise you fail. Again, you don't have any of these worries when you have a private account. So remember, use Ftmo as a booster for your private account. That's all I'm going to use it for, because again, when you have no rules, it is 10 times easier, mindset-wise as well, because the pressure's off. And you can compound all that stuff. But anyway, so this is where I am at the moment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over NU, where it gave me the kick in the ass I needed to hold my nerve and emotions when it comes to my trades, and letting it just play out. And I'm going to go over that on GU as well. So yeah, this is where I'm at the moment. 7 trading days in, I'm up £2,772 out of 5,000. So in my head, I don't know what that is. I'm up 4% on the account, so I need another 6% to go to pass Ftmo. Again, I'm only going to do 0.5% risk. I'm not going to do 0.1% or 2% risk. But let me just put it to you this way. Most people do 2% risk on a trade, right? So I would have passed the Ftmo challenge by now if I just did 2% risk on those 2 trades. Yes, it would have fit in my Ftmo rules, but it would have broken my personal rules, right? Because remember, I could have lost those 2 trades and I would have been down 4%, not 1%, because obviously instead of risking 0.5, I was risking 2 trades, right? So instead of being down 1%, if I lost, I would have been down 4%. But on the flip side, if I just did 2% risk, I would have been up 17% on those 2 trades. 17%. Pass the Ftmo challenge like that. Piece of piss. Smashed it. But again, you've got to stick to your rules. You can't think what if, because that's how you get eaten alive in these markets. So hopefully you had a few little nuggets there. So as I'm saying, stick to 0.5% risk or 1% risk, okay? Because if you start doing really well on 0.5% risk and then you have a couple losers, which you will, and then you randomly before that go, oh, I'm doing really well on 0.5% risk, I'm going to up the risk to 1%. Now, what you've gained, you haven't gained 1 to 5 on 1% risk or 5%, you've only gained it at 2.5% because you've been risking 0.5% up to that point. If that makes sense, right? So if you then go 5% up at 0.5% risk, and then you do 3 losers in a row at 1% risk because you think you're going to pass it faster that way, then you're down 3%. And then you're going to go back to 0.5%, and then you might get some winners, and then you're going to be gaining slower, and then when you get to that level you might want to risk another 1% again because you're back up to that level and then you have a couple losers. But then what I'm saying is if you change your risk, you're making it twice as hard for you to gain because you will have losers. So that's why you need to have good risk management and stick to a risk percentage that you're willing to lose, okay, and just accepting the fact. That makes sense? This is what I've learned on my Ftmo journey so far, so this is why I'm giving you guys this advice to show you what I mean by sticking to your risk factors, sticking to your trading plan. If you don't have a trading plan, that's probably the first step away you're going absolutely wrong. Anyway guys, let me just walk through NU and GU and hopefully give you guys a few aha moments. But yeah, so far, Ftmo challenge is going bloody brilliantly. Okay guys, right, so this is NU, this is my trade markup that I had. This is a previous trade I did that I also won, which was pretty damn awesome. But let me focus on this. So what I'm going to do is going to get the replay mode out and walk you through how the markets play with your emotions. How do they get you in to make you feel like you're doing well, and then reverse on you rapidly to scare you, use your fear against you, take the buyers out the market, take the sellers out the market, and then they're going to do what they want, okay? Because remember, they are creating liquidity and then grabbing it, okay? So let me just zoom in a little bit on this. So let me just walk you through my mindset and how I learned from this trade, and then how I implemented that on GU and how it worked out great, okay? So let's just play this out. So as you can see, this literally touched my entry and then started to come up, okay? I thought, oh great, this is gonna go really well. This is my target. It wasn't a 1 to 5, it is a 4.8, but it's close enough. Let's call it a 1 to 5 because it's almost there, okay? I mean, you can kick off if you want, but whatever. Now, look how this reverses. Now, if you were buying this, okay, and you saw this huge rejection in this area and this bearish marking down, most you would have panicked, right, and went, shit, I got this wrong, move stop loss to break even, or just get out of the trade altogether. You would have closed, and instead of getting a 1 to 3.8, 1 to 4, you're now going to settle for a 1 to 1.7, right? So you're throwing away money, right? When if you just had the right mindset, you would have said, this is what happens. It doesn't matter. You do not control the outcome of your trades. Remember that. Write this down. You do not control it. You could have all the confirmations in the world you want. It could tick them all and you can still lose. And you have to be okay with that. Okay? I mean, it's coming down, blah, blah, blah. It's playing around a bit, building liquidity. As you can see, I've already drawn it out. And then look at that, bang. Now, if you moved your stop loss to break even at this time, right, at probably gonna be New York close to Asian session, this always happens, right? You would have been stopped out of break even. So you haven't lost any money. You would have been pretty gutted because you could have got a 1 to 4, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, you could have got a 1 to 4, blah, blah, blah. And you would have been stopped out, and then you would have looked back at your phone, realised you've been stopped out, and then price has gone back up again. Okay? So price is coming back up, it's come back down. So let's say you weren't at break even here, and then you moved after these moves, and you think, right, if it comes back down again, I'm definitely going to lose, and you would have been stopped out break even again. If you didn't do it the first time, and then you saw this on the second, you think, right, if it comes down again, I don't see any need for it to come down again. I'm just going to move to break even, which is what I did, okay? So I didn't move to break even here. I moved to break even after these two liquidity grabs right at the end of New York close, okay? Then it came down, stopped me out at break even. Now look what happens, okay? It's now taken buyers that were right, so your bias was right. It's taken buyers now out the market, me included, right? Then look what happens. Still made low liquidity. I knew it was coming back up because I drew the liquidity that it made, but it came back and stopped me out. making more, and what it do again, it made more on the way down. Keep going. Now, most of you, if you didn't go into break even here, you probably would have seen this come down and you probably would have cut your losses and just accepted this trade failed, I'm going to move on, right? But if you just stuck to your original analysis, if you just trusted yourself and just accept that a trade is a coin flip at the end of the day with whatever confirmations you have, right? Stick to it. Look what happens. Plays around a little bit, got close, depending on your spread. Because this is a major pair, my spread was really tight, and plus I was buying, not selling. So the ask line is always above. Remember, when the only line that matters on your broker is the ask line. The bid is fine, doesn't matter. If price came down past this line, then I would have been stopped at, that's fine, right? But as it's the top line, spread doesn't really affect you on buys. That's why I kind of prefer buying and selling, but again, that's another subject for another video if you want it to be made. But anyway, comes back in, comes down again, makes more liquidity grabs, and then look what happens. Boom, takes it out, and I know it goes a lot further than that as well. Right, so let's look at that. It whipped me in in 1, 2, 3 days. In 3 days, it came to my entry and played around in my entry zone for 3 days, right? I obviously didn't have the mindset then to mindset to hold my trades, okay? Believe in myself. But now I do. Look at that. I missed out on a 1 to 5. Yes, there's a 1 to 4.8, okay? Whatever. That is what I missed out on. Actually, it's up there. So yeah, 1 to 4.8. Okay? So I did this. I realized I messed up. I shouldn't have let my emotions get the better of me in this trade. And I took what I learned and moved on to GU. Right, let's look at GU, which I was showing you on my last video. You haven't seen that already. I broke down these two trades, and actually I was mid these two trades. They just hit TP. Well, I was mid this trade, hit TP. Same again, right? Same exact thing. Look how much time it played around in my area, okay? Sometimes they hit and smash your TP. Other times they're gonna mess with you, all right? And this is where you need to be strong. This is my analysis. Again, I broke down this trade on my last video, so I'm not going to break it down. What I'm going to show you is what I learned from NU and how I applied what I learned on GU. Remember, trading, if you lose a trade, it's a lesson, okay? That's how you need to take it. You can't just say, right, moving on to the next. You need to understand why that lost and how you can improve the next time. Again, it's all part of your journey. It's constantly improving, okay? So let's just let this play out. It came down, okay, there's a nice reaction. I was like, yes, this is good. Oh no, look what's happened. It's coming back into my entry zone again. This was end of day one, right? So day one in the trade. Day two, back into my entry zone again. Learning from NU, look how close that came to stop me out. Look how close that was. That's why I said on the last video, always have fat. Pad your entries, pad your stop losses. Equate for the spreads, okay? If you know your spread is 1 pip, maybe do 1 or 2 pip spread, okay? As in fat on your entries and stop losses. Again, I went over that in the last video. And I saw this, it started creating a trend line. I was like, well, this is gonna be taken because they're building liquidity, right? Again, this is a legit 1 to 5, as you can see on this trade. Keep coming through, again, back into my, so if you saw this and then it came down, broke structure, and then you were like, yes, I'm gonna move my stop loss to break even now. It's broken structure in a lower time frames. It's had a nice rejection. If you did that, boom, you would have stopped that at break even. Same situation as what happened on NU. Again, I learned from NU. I didn't do that. I let it play out. I held my nerve, right? It comes down, building the trend line, blah de blah de blah. If you didn't know what trend lines were and you're looking at it as, oh, this is now making higher structure, I'm going to be putting in buys. I know better. I know the banks are going to be taking these buyers out, okay? To push price lower, to get buy at a better price. Right, anyway, bum, 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 came in, smash. So, by me learning from NU, I applied what I learned and attacked it on GU. So now I know, look, trust in myself, my analysis. There's a reason why I did it. I had targets, I had reasonable TPs, and I held it. I knew there's targets further down here that I'm seeing, and I could have shot for the moon. But here's the thing, this is what I said in the last video. If I shot for the moon and went for a 1 to 10 almost, look what would have happened. Would have got stopped out, okay? That is why you do not shoot for the moon. You have reasonable targets, ones that make sense. You're not going to get home runs every time. Sometimes you do and you're going to look like a god and people are going to make YouTube videos out of it. But 9 times out of 10, you're not going to do that, okay? So I aim for a 1 to 5 because it's a nice number. From my research, it has hit that sort of reward to risk ratio a lot of times. But again, if you had a fat stop loss up here, your 1 to 5 is going to be like further down here, isn't it? It doesn't make that, so it needs to make sense. But again, that is another topic for another video. Remember guys, so that is what I've learned, right? Hold your nerve, trust your analysis, okay? There's a reason why you did this markup in the first place. You're paying a percentage of your capital to figure out what happens in the future, okay? Remember what happened to me on NU? I didn't hold my nerve. I let fear, my emotions get the best of me. I moved to break even. It stopped me out of break even, right? it hit my entry on NU 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 separate times before eventually going to where I knew the price was going to go. Well, I didn't know, I predicted price was going to go, because you never know anything, you always can be wrong. If I lost this trade, that's fine. I was willing to accept 0.5% of my capital to figure out what happened in the future. Okay? Do not let fear change how you trade in the markets, because that is how the markets are won. That is the difference between winners and losers. Emotions. That's why the banks use algorithms, because algorithms don't have emotions. Simple as that, right? So I hope you learned a lot from this video. If you have, give it a like, comment on it. What did you find most helpful? But again, you didn't lose your trade. You've learned a lesson. That was my lesson. That is how I want you to analyze the markets. If I lost this trade, which I did, I wrote down, what did I do wrong? I figured it out. I journaled everything. I learned a lesson. I implemented it again, and it paid off. And now I'm going to be doing that for the future. And that is how I won those two GU pairs, which then got me up to 4% on my account, which would have been 17% if I did 2% risk, which is, you know, Gucci, or 8.5% gain if I did 1% risk. But I'm not. I'm sticking to 0.5. I'm taking it slowly, because again, that was another lesson that I learned from my last Ftmo challenge. Again, guys, I keep repeating myself, but learn from me. Trust in your analysis. If it doesn't work out, learn from it. Anyway, love you all. Like, share, subscribe, do what you want to do. I'll see you on the next video, and hopefully there's a few juicy setups happening, especially in the GBP pairs. GBP pairs, yeah, pound pairs anyway, for next week. So that looks pretty sexy. But again, guys, like, share, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one, and best of luck to you.